Cleaning your room. We all know Jordan Peterson talks about cleaning your room. But in this clip, he actually talks about the impact that could have on you and the world around you, and how people react to that when you decide to start cleaning your room. And then I am actually going to connect that to how I actually met my wife. This is episode 1070, Jordan Peterson, the Joe Rogan Experience. I'm Coach Colin, coolest high performance coach in the world. We're sitting at 1 hour, 47 minutes, 28 seconds. And if you want the absolute best insights to the podcast and videos you love, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. This one is actually pretty cool. And honestly, we really don't realize as people how much of an impact the things we do and the things we don't do impact not just us, but the people around us, and by extension, the world. Let's get into it.
Like,
Absolutely.
all right,
but
baby.
Right, exactly. But it's like this 16-year-old fantasy of paradise. It's like, well, and it just doesn't work out. So, and the thing is that the thing that sustains people through life really is the lifting of a worthwhile burden. It's something like that. Yeah. And it's partly because we're social animals, right? It's like we're evolved to be useful to the people around us because they're much more likely to let us live if we're like that.
Yes.
So, and it's been very fun especially talking to young men about this. It's like, well, and that's the other thing too, is I think the world is full of darkness, let's say. And we could say each of us have a little bit of light. And if we release that light, if we let it shine properly, Christ, it's too cliched to go on with in some sense, but the world is a lesser place if you do not reveal from within yourself what you have to reveal. And the fact that the world is a lesser place actually turns out not to be trivial. Like if you aren't everything you could be, more people will die, more people will suffer, more evil will be unconstrained, more tyranny will reign, more chaos will remain chaotic and dangerous, all of that.
Do you mean this in the sense of like the old proverb of the wings of a butterfly fluttering become a hurricane?
It's something similar to that, but it can even be more local. It's like your family is more messed up than it could be if you were less messed up than you are.
Right.
So if you just got your act together, like 10% more, your family would be 1% better.
Right.
It's like, well, do it.
And that would ripple off into the people that they interact with.
Yes, and it ripples fast.
Yes.
That's the other thing that's so cool is that, like, people think, well, there's 7 billion of us, and each of us is just this separate dust mote, like floating in the cosmos, and what the hell difference does it make what you do anyways? It's like, that is not how we're connected. It's like, you're the center of a network, and you know way more people than this, but let's say typically, you're going to know 1,000 people in your life, well enough to have an impact on them, okay? And each of those 1,000 people is going to know 1,000 people. So you're one step from 1,000,000 and 2 steps from 1,000,000,000. And we are networked, technically. That's how human interactions work. And so when you do something that you shouldn't do, it's worse than you think. And when you do something that you should do, it's better than you think. And so you think, well, this is why I've been telling people, well, clean up your room. It's like, well, your room is actually networked too. It's not that easy to clean up your room, to set it. So you want your room to be set up so that when you walk in there, it tells you to be better than you generally are. It's organized, it's got direction, everything's in its place. You try to do that in a chaotic household. You know, I've watched people do this because I had students do these sorts of things as assignments. I'd say, look, pick a small moral goal, clean up your room, and just write down what happens as a consequence. So maybe these are students in a chaotic household. The whole place is a bloody mess. No one's taking any responsibility for anything. And so they decide they're going to start to clean up their room. And then the people in the household notice. Well, the first thing they do is get pissed off. It's like, who do you think you are? Like, you think you're better than us? Why do you think this is worthwhile? Who died and made you God? All of that. So just by trying to organize this little part of their life, they immediately run into the people whose actions they're casting in a dim light by trying to improve themselves to some degree. They might have to have like a thorough war in their household to be allowed to do something as simple as keep the room orderly. They'll find out very rapidly that A, that's way more difficult than it sounds, and B, that the consequences of it are far more far-reaching than people think. So that's quite fun. You know, because maybe part of it is that Like everything around you is full of potential. Everything. Maybe more potential than you could ever possibly utilize. And so maybe all you have is this little rat hole of a room in some rundown place in the world. It's like, fix it up. There's more there than you think. See what happens if you fix it up. And you'll fix yourself up simultaneously because you'll have to get disciplined in order to fix up the room. And then you have a fixed up room and you'll be a more fixed up person. It's like, you think that nothing will happen as a consequence of that? It's like all hell will break loose as a consequence of that. It's really
so true. And I didn't realize it until he started talking about this. Like for me, when I say it's how I met my wife, right? The things that you shouldn't do are worse than you think. The things that you should do are better than you think. Like I fixed myself up. I literally cleaned my room and began cleaning my room. I hung up inspirational quotes all over my room. I started conducting myself better. I stayed away from drugs and alcohol. Well, not quite drugs, because I was still heavy into the mushrooms and stuff. But I got it in check. I wasn't just doing it at all hours. I wasn't just up all the time. I was getting it in check more so. Completely left alcohol behind and really got my body together, got my workouts intact. I really cleaned myself up. And then when I met my wife, I was this person who was worthy of someone like her. So when we met, we hit it off. It wasn't just because, I'm this great person. It's because I cleaned myself up. It's because I cleaned my room. That turned me into a more fixed up person. A more fixed up person does better things, works out, stays away from alcohol, keeps, drugs at bay, keeps it recreational, I should say. So from there, we met. Now, it's better than you think. Well, then we got together. As we got together, because I was with somebody so great, I started taking on more responsibility. I wanted to become a more responsible person. From there, I was in my mom's basement. I was driving my mom's car around. I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to get out of the basement. I wanted to get out into my own car. And I ended up doing that. But it was only because of her. Then later on, I moved out. Why? Because there was this call to responsibility as I fixed myself up. Like as I got into a better position in life and had this person who I felt like I needed to become a better man for, I slowly started doing that, right? Not just because of her, I wanted to myself, but she was like a great catalyst for that change, right? And then when I do, like, it's so hard to see, but it's like I cleaned my room, I met her. Now we're here, like in this place. Now there's a house. Now I'm doing this video. Now I'm coaching people. I'm doing all this stuff. The ripples that happened just from me cleaning myself up and then meeting this person and then cleaning myself up further to be worthy of that person and then getting better and better and better. And now I'm in the life of my dreams. Like 10 years ago, if you told me I'd be married and in a house and be warm and not have to worry about the bills, and if you said all this to me, I wouldn't believe you. I just wouldn't. I'd be like, I can't do that. I don't have the ability to do that. But cleaning my room up, cleaning myself up, the ripples, as Jordan Peterson just said, and I am saying repeatedly, the ripples happen so quickly, so fast, and so dramatically. And like, and not to, it's too much information, but we're going to be trying for our first kid come like March or April. So it's like cleaning myself up is leading to me becoming a father. The things you should do are way better than you think they are. And they're little things. They seem little, but they end up giving you big results. I use this analogy when I'm coaching people. It's like a ship. Like a giant ship, like a huge yacht, like one of Jeff Bezos' his bridge destroying yacht that he has. So if you take that big yacht and you shift it 5 degrees, like I just shifted 5 degrees, you couldn't see the movement, right? But if that yacht now travels 1,000 miles, it's going to be in a completely different direction than if it just stayed where it was. And that's what cleaning your room does. That's what doing the thing you should do does for you. It shifts your life just a little bit. It puts you on just a little different of a path. And if you keep on doing that, if you keep on just shifting just a little bit, 5 degrees, 5 degrees, 5 degrees, all of a sudden you're in a completely different trajectory. You're in a completely different ocean, and you're doing things that you never thought you possibly could. And that's just one example. I mean, me just like recently, like not recently, like, 2 years ago, I completely got sober, like completely sober. And like, what does that turn into? Like, I had the energy to make this video. The ripples go out far. I don't know what this is going to do. Somebody might see this that's on their last leg. This might give them something to lean on for the moment. The moment might get them through the night. They might see the morning, and then all of a sudden the morning turns into, I'm going to try and do this. And it's not really because of me. It's just because of those little things, little things. Not because of me, but because they decided to watch a video, and now all of a sudden their life's 5 degrees different. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden that guy's walking down the street and somebody almost gets hit by a car, but he pushes them out of the way and he saves their life, and that person becomes president of the United States. Who knows? But the only way to find out is to start doing the things that you should do. And then with everything that I just said, all these amazing things, it's like, now think of it in the inverse, the things that you shouldn't do. How bad could it have got for me if I didn't clean myself up? I would have never met this woman that was my catalyst for making such big changes in my life. So what would have happened? Maybe I would have fell deeper into drugs. Maybe I would have met somebody because I was in the drug world, and maybe that person would have said, hey, you want to sell some stuff with me? And I would have said yes. And then I would have moved to a different part of the world and started selling things on a big scale and ended up going to jail or getting shot. And who knows? Who knows where it goes? But the thing about it is, when we think of these little things that we should and shouldn't do, we think it's just the thing, and we think it's just a little thing, and it's not. It's much bigger than it seems. And I didn't quite realize that until Jordan Peterson just laid that out. Like, my life has dramatically changed because of a little change that I made, just a little one. And as I keep trying to tighten up and improve day after day, those are also little changes. And those are going to take me to different amazing places that I can't even fathom, because this situation right now is something that I couldn't even fathom happening at all. I never would have thought of myself sober. For 24 hours? No way. For a year? No way. Just no way. Not possible. You know? So I invite you to think of the things that you should do and stop thinking of them as little things that you can just put off until tomorrow. They're big things. And they're going to bring about more good and bigger changes than you can ever imagine possible. So treat them that way. I'm out. Peace.